Hello guys, my name is SVB, and in case you missed it, last night during the Overwatch League Grand Finals, we got to see a preview of the Sombra and Bastion Reworks, as well as a pro player show match on a current Overwatch 2 build. If you're not sure what these are, you can head on down to the Play Overwatch YouTube page to see full details of the reworks and watch the show match yourself. But from my end, I was discussing these changes with my stream live, so I thought it'd be helpful to share my thoughts with you guys out here on YouTube. So I'm going to share now how I feel about these changes and what I think the implications might be for how these heroes will play in Overwatch 2. But before we get into that, I do have to give a quick word that this video is sponsored by Ridge Wallets. So, time for a quick plug. This used to be my wallet. Not too bad, quite cute. One Piece is a good anime, and Luffy looks pretty cute here, so it worked for me for a while. But I'm a grown-ass adult now, and I would pull this out on dates. And let me tell you guys, there were no second dates. Now I got myself a Ridge wallet, and I'm still single, but at least I don't feel ashamed anymore, and that's important. And I'm going to show you guys how it compares to the old wallet. This is my Ridge wallet, full with all my cards and some cash right now, and this is my old wallet, completely empty. The Ridge wallet is just so much slicker, it looks better, and it's so easy to carry around. You feel pretty cool sliding a card out of nowhere, and putting it back in is really easy too. Right now you'll be seeing my code on screen, and if you use it at checkout, you'll get yourself a 10% discount when you buy one of these. And actually, if you buy any product from their website right now, there's a chance to enter into a giveaway. If you're lucky, and maybe all your bad luck is run out in your Overwatch games, you might get yourself a 2020 Jeep Gladiator or $50,000 in cash. So check out Ridge, guys, and tell me what you think, and tell me which design you like. I got myself the titanium gold plated one. Maybe you fancy yourself something different, so check it out. And now, back to the video. So let's talk Sombra Rework first.
Let's start with changes to our hack ability. First, we significantly...
Okay, so the cooldown is 3 seconds. Let me note that down. Oh, it goes away. Sorry, guys, it goes when I say so. It's important to note down. Okay.
Reduce the cooldown. Secondly, her hack now lasts 8 seconds, but now has two components to it.
So it can interrupt. Okay, it cut the Reaper's TP.
However, that effect now has been reduced to 1 second. The second component of hack is a brand new effect that reveals...
Yeah, so it's a wall hacks as well.
...and her team through walls.
And everybody can see it, unlike the passive that Sombra can only see.
Her passive has gained the ability to do 50% more damage to hacked targets.
I think it's her specifically that does 50% more damage.
We tweaked it so it no longer removes all shields, but instead, it now just deals damage to enemies equal to 40% of their current health. Combined with her new passive effect, this gives her even more finishing potential.
Lastly, an update that really leans into her character is that you can now hack while being in stealth mode. You are briefly revealed when hacking, but it
so there's like a slight, so if you look there, there's like a little,
really leans into her character.
You have a little picture of her.
You can now hack while being in stealth mode. You are...
So, I mean, that's like potentially interruptible. You can have like someone shoot at her to stop it.
Briefly.
So the Sombra reworks seem alright to me. Like, they seem interesting. She basically is going to move towards assassin more than a hacker, which I think is cool. I think that's good. Nobody really loves the CCing element of Sombra. I think having her be more of an assassin makes more sense. It's kind of what people predicted would be the case when she was first announced. So they were like, oh, an invisible character. Surely she's like a rogue, right? Like in the World of Warcraft scenario. She's the guy she's the person who sneaks around and goes for kills. This seems like a nicer direction, a bit more of a DPS focused direction, because basically the 1 second hack is just an interrupt, really. Like 1 second is just, it's unlikely to be long enough. In the current form, you hack someone and, you know, they're basically useless for a while and you can just easily focus them down. Although that, you know, it doesn't happen in your solo queue games, but it does happen when people are coordinated. 1 second hack now, as we saw Space in the little clip as well, he was fine. He just went around the corner for a second and he had his abilities back up. And then, yeah, so then 8 seconds you can wall hack them. It's a 3 second cooldown, which means you can wall hack quite a few people, but I guess it's unlikely that you get away with a lot. Actually, you could be invis and wall hack 2 people basically at any given time, which is interesting. It's certainly an interesting... It's good for setting up dives again. So they said they like the setup element, and that's definitely part of the setup element, right? Where it's like, your stealth, you hack, okay, this is where XYZ is, this is where XYZ is. And then when the dive comes in, you're there to start in the back. So that's pretty interesting. Now, EMP, 40% of all remaining health. that's interesting. Again, it seems like a sort of the Flux kind of idea where Flux is 50% of your max health. This is 40% of remaining health. The one thing I will say, guys, is don't go running wild with like the number one thing people do that is kind of like pisses me off a little bit is like jump to the absolute worst thing that could be done with this ability, which is fine. It's human nature to be like, well, what if we nanoed the Sombra and we damage boost her and we supercharged her and then she used her thing and then she's just OP now. It's like, well, yeah, you did that to anyone, they'd be fucking OP. What's the most likely outcome of what's going to happen with this? 40% of whatever gone is way too much. No, it's fucking not. Sigma gets 50% of your HP, and that's your max HP, so it can kill you. This is 40% of your remaining HP. If you're 100 HP, you'll lose 40. That's garbage. It's only good at the start of the fight. It's like, it's not, again, people just like, oh my goodness, it's 40, but... Yeah, if your 200 HP target is 80 damage, that's not even that much. That's not even a lot of damage. So it's just like, people going absolutely hog wild. It's mostly gonna hurt the one tank that is there, but even that is not crazy. It's more, again, it just more helps with the Sombra assassin thing, because you can just kind of EMP multiple people and then gun them down in a fight. It sounds like she's gonna be a much better duelist, much more of an assassin. I like it. I like it. We'll have to see obviously how it plays, but in theory, assassin / duelist rather than disabler. Is Doomfist tank confirmed? They said that they're trying it in testing. It's a very Blizzard thing, because everyone was like, make May a tank, and they were like, no, we won't, but we'll make Doomfist a tank. I'm not against that, to be honest. I think his kit leans itself more like a melee character usually is a tank. It's unusual for it to be a DPS, and they tried to do something different with Doomfist by having a fighting game character as a shooter character. I think basically what they thought is they want Doomfist to continue to have some CCs, but they don't want DPS to have CCs. So presumably they're going to work him a little bit, but they thought rather than just completely change everything, let's make him a tank so he can keep his CCs, but maybe and hopefully they will kind of tone his CCs down a little bit. She's invisible while hacking. Yeah, she's invisible while hacking, but that's fine. Again, remember, Sombra used to be able to contest point while invisible. Now, if you thought the way Sombra is now was ridiculous, think about that. So, and that was on release. She was able to contest point, and we lived through that world. So again, try not to overreact. Okay, now let's look at they haven't explained the interaction with the turret. Well, yeah, that's true actually. I imagine the turret probably operates the same way, where it's disabled for a second and then you can do more damage to it, presumably. Presumably it doesn't have any different application on turrets, but maybe it does. Who knows? You can hack health packs still, which is something we note. Like if you note, we go back to the thing, you can hack the health pack. So that's still a thing. Okay, this is the Bastion rework now. This is a lot more extensive, I guess.
No longer has his self-repair button at all. It's just gone.
Yeah, so no self-repair.
He now has a brand new ability that's bound to alternate fire. This ability fires
So let's have a look there. It looked like it did about... So that Reaper is full HP.
This ability fires
there's some stick-on damage.
A projectile that fires a projectile alternate
Let's
fire.
wait. Let's slow this down. So... It does like is that a tiny bit of damage when it sticks on? And then the explosion does, so Reaper's 250 HP, right? It looks like it did about 125 to him. So it did about 125 and about 50 to the Genji. Wait, is he controlling it or is it just the rebound? No, he's not controlling it, it just rebounds on its own. It's not like a Valorant flash where you can control it.
And it does a ton of damage, has a really big radius, it's super fun to fire. His recon form weapon has changed significantly as well. It now has no spread at all, but has reduced fire rate to compensate. This lets him poke at much longer ranges and play a little more like a pseudo-sniper, kind of like his recon form theme is always kind of meant to be. Recon form like
how much damage is that doing? Because the Widowmaker's the only one... No, she's not even full HP. It doesn't even look like it's doing that much. It looks like it's doing like 25, 40 damage.
Theme is always kind of meant to be.
Not a lot.
For his ultimate, we completely changed it up. He no longer has this tank mode, he instead goes into a new artillery mode.
I like the look of that. It looks really kind of cool.
You then get to choose 3 points to call.
Ah, so this is what it looks like. Okay. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of like a Doomfist ult, except, you know, you're there AFK. It looks like, how long does it last? About 8 seconds? Yeah, 8 seconds that you have, so I'm going to note that down. I imagine it works still indoors like a Doomfist ult does, right? There's not that much, because there's a zoom out, zoom in function, so it's probably almost exactly like a Doom ult, where you can zoom out to go out of buildings and zoom in to go in them. How long does it take? Let's see if we can figure out how long it takes to arrive.
Call down an artillery strike anywhere on the map.
Okay, actually we can count that. Right. So it's 111. So he calls it at 113.
Artillery strike anywhere on the
About 2 seconds it takes to land. So it takes 2 seconds to land. Which is actually a lot of time to dodge it. 2 seconds is a lot of time to dodge it. And a lot of time to react and eat. Like, I think Doomfist ult comes down in like 1 second. So it's twice as long as like, and you know, Doomfist ult, people complain because they're like, it's easy to dodge. So having twice as long is, like, if you have any mobility, you run out of that. LOS. I think this can only really work if you place it really well or if something else is blocking you. The AoE is huge though. Yeah, the AoE will probably clip you. Again, remember the 300 won't be in the entirety of the radius. The 300 will be the maximum probably, and then lower at the edges. Again, I think you should be able to counter and dodge this. I really want to see how Genji can deflect this. It didn't really sound like Jeff had like properly thought about how it gets deflected. Maybe no one has deflected it yet in the playtests. Because he wasn't like, oh yeah, Genji can deflect it. It's a lot of fun. He was just like, well, it works like everything, so it can be blocked and eaten and stuff. Diva's gonna mop up back. Like, Diva's gonna make this ult look so garbage, bro. Because like, she's gonna have a longer DM, and it takes 2 seconds to land. So you can, if he staggers it out, you just eat those 3 fucking shots, man. It's gonna be really garbage. You probably have to look up to deflect it, right? So it would be really difficult. You'd probably have to time it perfectly to deflect it that way, like in front of you. You'd have to like flick it, which is kind of cool and sounds pretty cool lore-wise. Like you're an actual, you know, ninja dude just deflecting it properly. But I think most of the time you'd just be happy to shoot it back up in the air. And what if there's a Pharah above? This is where the theory crafting always comes in. A Bastion ult comes in and you deflect it to the Pharah barraging above you. Genji OP. Genji's OP now. Genji's OP now.
Bastion can now move, albeit at a reduced movement speed. We've also changed the ability to...
So they said 50% movement speed, right? But has a cooldown.
Let's keep it...
Can we see the cooldown anywhere? Where is the cooldown? We can't see it on the screen. Doesn't look like he's doing an insane amount of damage. Like, I think normal Bastion would have shredded this Winston much quicker. Actually looks like similar to what it is. Similar. I think maybe like down 10, 20%. Infinite ammo. Yeah, that's true. It does have infinite ammo, which is interesting.
This lets us keep it super strong since you can't use it all the time.
Okay, there's the cooldown. I finally spotted it. There we go. So it lasts 8 seconds. I'm loving this, to be honest. Like, yeah, we can probably gripe a little bit about numbers, or they need to tone this back, but I like the idea of both of these changes, to be honest. I think Sombra as an assassin works for me. I'm down with Sombra the assassin. I think Bastion's changes, I mean, yes, it sounds like the sentry moving Bastion could be a terror, but all that takes, think about it this way, if you're really worried, like, oh my god, he could do so much damage, all it takes is for them to just tone one number back and he's fine, right? All it takes is for them to be like, okay, well, we reduced his damage. Are you happy now? It's the ideas you got to think of, and I think it sounds like Bastion's a lot more fun. Like I said, he sounds like he has way more to his kit now. It's a little bit like a DLC hero. He's like, if you think of old Bastion, he feels like, you know, an original Overwatch hero, and then new Bastion is more like Sigma, where it's like, oh, he has a shield and a rock and a defense matrix, and he does a lot of damage. And Bastion is like, oh, he has a left click that's a sniper rifle, a right click that's a grenade, and he has a turret form that he can gun people down with, and he can become a tank. So it's like, sounds pretty fun. It sounds like he has a lot to do. It basically seems like he'll be a more dynamic hero, which is nice, because the problem with him is that he's boring right now. He's just like, you sit in turret and gun people down. Now at least he moves himself. Again, he has a bit of flexibility how you want to play him. You can play him at long range. You can grenade people. And I think with Sombra, I actually think Sombra will be fun probably more. You won't like it when she assassinates you, but I think it's better than hacking you. It's just to assassinate and duel with her. And yeah, it looks like both these guys might be decent at contesting snipers. It doesn't sound like Bastion's sniper was so oppressive, but definitely Sombra will do a good job contesting snipers by the look of it. Because you can go invis, hack her before she sees you, and then gun her down for 50% more damage. Again, they can always tone that number back if they feel it's too much. But it seems like it's a lot easier now. Because again, you go sneak up on a Widow or a Hanzo and you try to hack them, it's completely useless. You're not good at countering them. But now if a Hanzo's deep on Havana, at least your Sombra can go in, hack him, and now those logs aren't quite as scary because you can gun him down, you know, twice as fast. I think it's cool. I like it. I like what they got going. I think it should be encouraging. I think if this is the kind of direction that all other heroes are going in, then I think we're in a good place. Yeah, I think it makes her better for contesting snipers. It probably makes her worse for contesting like a Tracer and a Doomfist, but Doomfist is now a tank. So we'll have to see how that works. Tracer, again, I guess you weren't really countering a Tracer anyways, a Sombra. Again, you're mostly there to counter tanks and a Doomfist. Ball, actually hacking Ball for 50% more damage is equally pretty lethal because you will gun that sucker down. And you can already gun him down pretty well and farm EMP off him. EMP feels like Gravitic Flux now. Sort of. It's probably going to be used in the same way if you think about it. EMP right now is you use it at the start of the fight to begin the fight and set up your team. It's the same principle. You EMP everyone, take away 40% of their remaining health. The later you use it in the fight, the worse it is. Like, there is a real possibility if you use it at the end, it's like completely garbage because it's like everyone has like 100 HP left. You barely, you do 50 damage to a couple different people, to 3 people, and then they just shoot you down. So it's possible to, like, the later in the fight, kind of like Valkyrie as well. Like, the later in the fight you do it, the worse it is. So it's probably going to be used in the same way. I think it's a good direction. Like, it sounds like they're making some interesting changes with the characters, which will be fun.